thrive. And as a society, we've got space stations and DNA technology, smartphones. It's astounding how inclined we are to succeed, and our lives, collectively and individually, evidence that. And so when you remind people that, and you use their life as proof, because everyone has more to celebrate than to cry about. Everyone, no matter how hard their life has been. I mean, they've got another day. Are you kidding me? They got a shirt on their back. They've got a classroom to sit in. They've got friends, somebody out there, and usually in the multitude, loves them. And it's like, your life is proof of this presumption that we kind of build our house of infinite possibilities upon. You're here to thrive. You're already doing it. You want to do it some more? Become consciously aware of it, see the evidence of it, and we're going to talk about in this program what buttons to press and what levers to pull, and thy kingdom shall come. That's the old Catholic thing. And I encourage anybody, wherever your background is, whatever your religion might be, we have so much more in common, no matter what it is, than not. And so let's focus on what we have in common. And I always say at the outset, I think it's coming up in a couple of pages, don't take my word for anything. I'm going to give you fodder to think about, some dots to connect. If they don't connect, if they don't sit well, you feel a little uneasy with them, reject what I'm offering, or at least those pieces that seem unsettling. Whereas if something is in alignment with the beauty of your history, your past, your culture, your religion, grab a hold of it, buy into it, run with it. So you be the judge, I set out at the first meeting. And then quickly turning to some self-analysis, which will eat up 5 or 10 minutes of your time if you're nervous about being in front of your first audience. A little self-analysis. What confusing, unpleasant, or scary things have you been told about life, God, people, success, and our reasons for being on earth? A couple of pages, okay, 1 page here for that. Why are you here? Why do you think, what's the point of being in the illusions? And so they're thinking, they're talking about it, however you choose to handle that. And then I invite them to compare what they've been told to these truths, or call them these ideas, that life is beautiful, fair, rich, abundant, and filled with meaning. We are here to experience love, to learn, to adventure, and to become consistently wiser, greater, and happier. And I ask them to compare and weigh in their heart what they've been told, which is really probably what they believe already, to these new truths or ideas. And then this is where I invite them to be the judge. Don't these ideas that are empowering, that speak of life's beauty, make you feel good? Don't they make sense? Aren't they logical? Aren't they intuitive? You be the judge. And then this is where I share the test. I say that, my idea of truth, isn't something that I have ever taken from anyone else. It's based on my own experiences. And I feel whenever I'm tossed a new paradigm, I give it this little test. Does it speak of life's beauty? Does it empower? And does it leave no one behind under any circumstances? Because too often philosophies and or religions, schools of thought, have this premise that you're either with us or you're not. And if you're not, good luck. Good luck in the afterlife. Okay. So easy peasy, chapter 1. And of course, even in your very first presentation, you have license and are encouraged to bring in your own ideas. The first time I heard about these ideas, I thought they were, awesome, or little Looney Tunes, or, share that you've been there too. You came from the same type of background that probably they came from, to a large degree. How was it for you when you encountered these new thoughts? Share that story. Show them that you're a fellow adventurer. Of course, the thing that we lay out first and foremost is that our thoughts become the things, which also means life experiences. Circumstances are nothing more than moving things, right? Thoughts become things. At first might sound a little clunky, but as you hear it again and again, it is perhaps the most succinct way, perhaps in any language, just 3 words that show us where we fit in to the equation of reality creation. Thoughts become things says everything. And so we've got some, little arrows here, some common questions. What about my thoughts that haven't manifested yet, it's because other thoughts of yours have, and they got in the way of the ones that haven't seen the light of day. Well, the other big objection might be, what about the experiences that I did have that I never thought about ahead of time? You know, if thoughts becoming things is as predictable as gravity, whose thoughts were those? Mike Dooley, or filling your name here? Simple. All thoughts compete for their time in space. And sometimes you might have a thought that needs to draw you through unthought of territory for it to become the thing or circumstance of your life. So whenever the unexpected or the unthought of lands in your path, it's always a stepping stone to a further place now made possible, a further place that you were thinking about, whose manifestation is now possible because you went through this uncharted territory, which does not imply that anything could happen to anybody on their way to a distant thought that will become a thing. Anything and everything that does happen to you will be predicated and based upon your other 60,000 thoughts a day that have accumulated over a lifetime. Which doesn't mean we're vulnerable to those either, because we can change our thoughts, our beliefs. That's what this program is about, so that the ride can be smooth through uncharted territory. Of course, this is elaborated upon much greater in the main book, but even these talking points are already in the workbook for you. Hit them or not in the class, at least your students, if they have the workbook, can find them for themselves. So what have you created? What are you now creating? What will you create? I asked them for some of their past thoughts concerning friends, school, work, relationships, money. Then we say, well, what are your present thoughts? That was a yellow flag. Where might these take us if they become things? Are they loving and fearful, positive and negative, empowering or limited? And then, of course, in a few pages we move on to, hey, what might be some cool thoughts to think, to logistically prepare for and create better tomorrows. Skipping back a page, now on 9, I kind of throw in a little blurb on dealing with negativity, and I throw in a warning on the manipulation of others. Can't do it, won't work. Everyone is untouchable by others unless they allow them into their realm. And on negativity, don't worry too much about your negative thoughts. We all have them. I told you, I'll repeat it because it's worth mentioning, probably one of the first questions your audiences might ask you, and Andy has verified, same for his audiences. It's like, oh no, I'm doomed. I'm so negative. It's like, do your best to change the channel, but don't worry that you worry. We all do. I have concerns. I have fears. As long as you do what you can, a little creative visualization, stay positive, work on understanding, which will automatically install new beliefs, take baby steps that demonstrate those beliefs, and create a sense of expectation, you will blow away any negativity, even if you couldn't have stopped it. I encourage them to visualize. There's all those statistics, book after book after book, that show athletes, for example, perform better when they create pictures in their mind of successful events. 6 guidelines for visualization. Again, I usually don't work page by page from the workbook, so they might be taking notes. The one time I always see pens and paper flying is when I say, I'd like to share with you my 6 guidelines for creative visualizations. And it's like, oh, you know, it's just like an instinctive thing. Like, oh, 6 bullet points, I can do that. I can write those down. And they're so simple. I've been told numerous times, particularly when my earlier talks were more basic, that the relief they felt from my talk on creative visualization came primarily from how easy it seems to be, and that they don't have to do it so many times a day. And if they daydream, that's okay. Just do your best to stay with it. You know, once a day, no longer than 5 or 10 minutes. Otherwise, you'll start daydreaming about sex. Always cancel that. Or whatever, I say. And then you'll claim that you have adult ADD, and then you'll say, oh, I can't visualize, it doesn't work for me. It's like, no, just don't make it so difficult. Don't try to sit there too long. 5 or 10 minutes, I say, is not the ideal time. It is the maximum time. And I truly, every day, visualize with a timer that I set for 4 minutes. And when the countdown goes off, you can use your smartphone. I'm done until tomorrow. And if I daydreamed, okay, tomorrow I'll do a little bit better. I'm not gonna, well, I daydreamed, so I better set it for 4 more minutes. I better, I hate this stuff. And just let it be easy. Imagine every detail, sight, sound, color, smells. Feel the emotions, put yourself in the picture. Imagine the end result, meaning don't visualize how it came true. And I can throw every audience off a little bit. I do it still when I tour, because I still review these to this day with audiences. Now actually, in the book Playing the Matrix coming out in October, there's 9 guidelines. You have to buy the book. I point out, or I say, when you visualize, do not visualize your dream coming true. Why might that be?
Because visualize how people seeing it come true instead of being
Right. You're in the process of seeing it come true instead of imagining that it already came true. Because if you're in the process of it coming true, you're invariably on a cursed how.
Right.
And now, hows are always going to be there. There's always going to be a how it happened. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with a how. But when you say, this is how, you slam shut the door on all other possibilities. And then all of a sudden, if this how doesn't come true, you think, oh, I must be self-sabotaging. You weren't self-sabotaging. There was another better, quicker way. Or maybe that one how was blocked by a belief that you didn't even know you had. You don't have to go look for that belief. You just create other possibilities so that divine intelligence can weave the quickest, shortest course there. So that gets them thinking. So I say, instead of visualizing your dream coming true, visualize a month later, a year later. Now what's your life like? Now you're sitting in the lap of luxury. Now you've got exciting things to do.
Yes.
You leap out of bed
Yes.
before the alarm clock goes off every day. You know, your life is like this game, this adventure. It's not work anymore. It's what you most want to do. And you take the weekends to you know, chill your mind and prepare for another exciting week coming up. All of a sudden, life looks totally different. That's a scenario that you can visualize. You know, I just love my life. I got up again, 4th day in a row before my alarm clock went off. You know, wide awake, ready to go. Just visualize that. And the only way that can come to pass is if some really cool stuff set you up to feel that way authentically. This is how our emotions become the things and events of our lives. And this is why it's so important to have the emotion of joy that you're after, the excitement, the relief, or whatever other emotions you might expect to have beyond the dream coming true. Because the emotions are why we're here in time and space. You know, they're the rich jewels of every adventure, particularly love and happiness. So visualize love and happiness, and the universe is like, oh, I know how I can make that logistically happen in your life. And those ethereal thoughts of joy, all alone, will put the right person in the right place at the right time on your path, infuse you with the confidence that may have been lacking, give you some creative ideas for the screenplay or the storyline that you're working on. Working backwards from the end, you will be infused and given all the logistics that you will meet when you show up physically with baby steps in the world. I also encourage everyone to get serious about creative visualization, because it's the kind of thing that's so easy, like, oh, I'll do that a little bit later. I'll do that. I'll just do that on the fly. I'll just do that when I'm walking the dog. And then you never really do that. Everything is so easy that we discount its incredible power. And I'll ask students, and a note from the universe did this one time. I said, you know, how many of you brush your teeth every day? Maybe even more than once a day. Every hand goes up. How many have a place in the house that you do this little ritual every day, a couple times a day? Every hand goes. How many of you have gone out to the store and bought supplies to brush your teeth every single day? You treat it with respect. You do it consistently. Why? Because it works. You know it works. Everybody knows it works. So how about we do give the same respect to creative visualization? You know, pick a time of day. Pick a room in the house. Make sure the blinds are closed and you're not being disturbed. Come up with your timer. You know, whether it's a kitchen egg timer, we're selling them for $2 in the back, or your smartphone. A smartphone. You know, get the tools, get the utensils, be comfortable, make it a routine. Before I had a toddler, I used to never allow myself to leave the house in the morning to drive off to my office until I had first visualized. I don't care if I was running late, this is the law. Just like you don't leave the house without brushing your teeth, I hope. And then I offered audiences, now going forward, if every morning you only had time to do one or two things, visualize or brush your teeth. Visualize. Please visualize white teeth.
Yeah.
Yes.